Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thanks so much for dropping by. Warm welcome to return viewers and to anyone who's new. A very special welcome. This channel is about a very interesting being named Bruno Groening, who was here on this earth from, I believe, 1906 to 1959, and a lot of people, while he was here, experienced miraculous healings. He taught in a very simple, straightforward manner. That was very profound, yet a child could understand it. So if you're new, you can check out my website. I'm assuming most of the people here today are familiar with Bruno Groening, but if you are new, please do say hello, and I'll give a little bit more of an intro. So for me, it's the middle of the afternoon as I make this video, and the day is more than halfway over, and one thing I'm reflecting on is, have I spent my day well? Time is very precious. Pardon me, I'm turning off my phone. Bruno Groening went so far as to say that time is God. A statement I can repeat and quote, but I can't even begin to fully understand, or maybe even understand a little bit. What I can understand is that time is very precious. Said another way, our time, energy, and attention, what we put our attention on, where we spend our time, very, very precious. So here I am at the middle of my day and looking back, and some things I'm very satisfied about how I spent, kind of like spending money. Once you spend it, it's gone. And some of the ways I'm not so pleased with how I spent my time. And Bruno Groening called us at the end of each day to reflect on the day, to the best of our ability to recall each moment. I'm not there yet, but I am to the point of this practice where I have a pretty thorough, I can recall the narrative of the day, most of, maybe not every detail or every moment. And so the point of this is to see, how did I do today? Because Bruno's teachings are meant to be lived. Now, as a few of you know, I love talking about them. That's fun. I love sharing them. But it's really in the living of them. That's what they're really meant for. And so each day is a day to look back and see how we did at living these teachings, making choices. Were we mindful of our thoughts, staying connected to God? Did we make good use of our time? Welcome, Guillermo. Welcome. Now, it's not so much to feel guilty or to judge ourselves, but to learn. To learn. So, for example, here's a little teeny tiny example that I hope can be helpful. Yesterday, I missed my morning walk, which is something I do almost every morning, really enjoy. And then it started to rain in the afternoon, so I was it stopped raining. I was able to do a walk in the evening, which I enjoyed. But I took note of that, like, it's really important to get my walk in the morning on multiple levels. Now today, and so I noticed that at the end of the day, as I was reflecting on the day, just a second, like, okay, wish I'd gotten it in the morning. Today, I was feeling like, I want to go for a walk, but And this was in the afternoon, a second little walk. And I noticed the clouds were pretty thick. In fact, it was starting to drizzle. And I remembered from the day before, like, oh, if I don't get it in now, I may miss it. So I went out and just had a little quick walk around the block, and right towards the end of it, it started to pour, but I didn't get too wet. So that's, of course, a silly little example of how each day we can learn. Now, let me give a more concrete example. So there is a friend that I have, and whenever we interact, this person has different religious and spiritual views than I do. And so in the past, so the question is, well, what to do with that? Sometimes I've just remained, mostly what I've done is just to remain silent. And, noticing me doing that over and over, and that's part of reflecting at the end of the day. What I've noticed, and I think what anyone who does this practice will notice, is that we repeat the same mistakes over and over and over, sometimes in different ways, but we get stuck in habits, which Bruno spoke about. He called it the force of habit. And so I had this habit of just kind of sitting and listening when this person would just talk about all sorts of things that just didn't resonate, didn't feel right. And so when I noticed that, I was like, oh, I'm sick of doing that. I need to do something different. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do different next time it would happen. And I knew it would happen again. It happened so many times. And what just came to me is to be very polite and to be very honest. And so the next time, and I asked for Bruno's help with it, and then I just kind of let it go. And then lo and behold, this person brought up, and I was just very honest, like, hey, I appreciate your wanting to be helpful. And I know that really resonates for you. And I don't really feel drawn to that. That doesn't resonate with me. And thank you. Thank you for trying to be helpful. And it went well, and it felt good. So, so there's a little bit about time and a little bit about how to break out of some of our habits. Hi, Luna. I'm broadcasting out of Florida, Guillermo. So let's spend a little time and tune in and take in some of this divine energy. If it's the end of the day for you, you can practice. You can practice reviewing your day. And it feels too daunting to try and recall everything that happened. You can just ask yourself, what went well? What didn't go well? What could I have done better? Hi, Birdie. So let's spend a little time in silence, taking in this goodness and reflecting on how have we spent our time today. Helapishe. So, and sometimes, once we get into the habit of observing ourselves, sometimes we can catch ourselves before the end of the day. Like sometimes we're just so in the motion that we do things and we don't even notice. But the more we get into that practice, we can actually catch ourselves in the moment. For example, I just got hired for a new job, which I'm really excited about, and they wanted me to write a bio. And I wrote one, and then I felt this deep inspiration, and I rewrote it, and I checked it a couple times. I felt really good about it, and I sent it in. And then after I sent it in, oh my gosh, so many negative thoughts. They're not going to like it. It's not serious enough. You were too playful. They're going to be upset. It's for a dance studio. The students will be upset. It'll scare. It was just negative thought after negative thought, and I finally caught myself. Like this went on for hours, not nonstop, but like every 10 minutes, I would have a negative thought about it. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. No, I don't accept these thoughts. I give it over to Bruno. Please take this fear and please bless the situation. And I realized it wasn't a big deal, that if they didn't like it, I could rewrite it. And this is where being mindful comes into play. Because sometimes we're caught in the negative thoughts and we're not even aware of it. And of course, I said yes to those negative thoughts. And I didn't even notice it. It was kind of like an unconscious yes. Like the thought came and I just took it in. And then 10 minutes later, the thought just came and I took it in. And it had to happen 7 or 8, 9 times until I finally caught it. And welcome to the Earth School. It's not the easiest school on the planet, or the easiest school in the universe. So let's take a moment and notice, what have we been worrying about today or yesterday? And let's really become aware. Make a firm decision when those thoughts come to give them away, to step into trust and faith. A very wise comedian, I don't remember their name, said, I've been afraid of many, many things in my life, and a few of them actually happened. Most of our fears are completely baseless. They're about things that never happened and never will happen. Bruno Groening was quite clear that fear comes from evil and is evil. So let's just notice any life situations that we feel some anxiety or fear about. Give away the anxiety and fear. Give away the negative thinking. And place our trust in Bruno and our faith in God. And place that situation in their capable hands. I'm going to read some quotes of Bruno's. Bruno said, "Nothing is incurable. Bruno said, there is much that cannot be explained, but nothing that cannot occur." It's one of my favorites. There's nothing that cannot occur. For God, nothing is impossible. Where the need is greatest, the Lord God is nearest. It's a very interesting one. It seems that when things aren't going well, that God is far away. But according to Bruno Groening, that's actually when God is closest. So it's a deep reminder to me to, right? It's just a deep reminder to, obviously, to constantly reach out to God, but to do so doubly so when there are challenges. One habit that I've mostly broken, is when there's challenges, sort of to not reach out to God, right? To reach out to comfort foods or a funny YouTube video. And of course, there's a time and place for comfort foods and funny YouTube video, not opposed to them. And their ultimate comfort and soothing and healing and help comes from God. And here, according to Bruno Groening, when things are at their hardest, that's when the grace is most available. The help is most available. So I'm reading from the book, I Give You a Little Wisdom of Life, by Bruno, page 13 in my book. Whoever believes in his health believes in God. I've pondered that one long and hard. I believe part of what Bruno's referring to is the fact that our soul, the deepest part of ourself, is and remains divine, remains pure and good, no matter what. That certainly it can be covered over, or we can disconnect from that goodness. But that our soul remains vital and healthy, the deepest part of ourselves. And it may go even deeper than that. Bruno spoke of the divine spark, the place within us where God lives. So let's connect with that now. Let's believe in that. I've really been reflecting on trust lately and my trust in Bruno Groening and what it means to trust. And for me, it means that Bruno Groening's completely reliable. Not that I'll get the result that I want, but that I'll absolutely get what I need. And that Bruno will never abandon me. Bruno Groening said, I am always with you. I'm paraphrasing here, but almost the exact words. I'm almost with you, my dear friends. I'm not just saying this. Really believe it. I have to admit, it can be hard to believe that I have a friend who's always with me. It's easier for me maybe to believe that about God. I trust Bruno's words that God is all around me and within me and all around all of us. But to believe that my dear friend and helper, Bruno Groening, is with me always. There's great comfort there, and great comfort that that he's not going to give up on me until I'm completely free. And interestingly enough, anything other than health and anything other than happiness and anything other than harmonious behavior is just a symptom of a deeper spiritual sickness. Not that the spirit is sick, but that some evil's been taken on, and doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean someone else is bad when they do something that's not good or where they fall short. It just means they've taken on some evil, which we all have to some extent. I think that's what Christ meant. It's written that he said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. The story being a woman was going to be stoned to death for adultery. And the story is that Christ interceded and said, the person who's without sin, you cast the first stone. All of us have fallen short, which, by the way, is Jesus spoke Aramaic, and the Aramaic term for sin is just an archery term, which means to miss the mark. We've all missed the mark. We've all fallen short many, 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 many times. And when I say us, I don't mean our being has fallen short. What I mean is our behavior has fallen short. And in the story, everyone left because no one could say that they had never fallen short. Here they were about to kill someone for falling short. And then it's like, well, actually, we've fallen short too. This is such an important part of Bruno's teachings, that the human being doesn't do the evil does it through the human being. Not just to have compassion on ourselves, but so that it makes it so much easier to forgive others. We can recognize that if they're doing something wrong, it's the evil acting through them. Here's what Bruno said. Man is and will always remain divine, never satanic, never is man satanic, never is man evil. But he can get attached to evil when he leaves God, when he neglects himself. The evil seizes him, and he must then serve the evil. It is not the man doing the evil, but it is the evil itself. And that's from page 73 of The Work of Bruno Groening during his lifetime and today. How interesting. And what a, it's radical today, and it must have been very radical in Germany after World War II when, the whole world was hating the German people and thinking that they were just evil beyond words. And here comes Bruno Groening saying, no, if someone does something evil, they've fallen under a spell. They've become attached to evil. He would also say, once someone's taken in evil, they're forced to serve it. But that underneath it all, we remain children of God. Now, that's not to discount when someone does something wrong. That doesn't mean we don't talk to them about it or take appropriate action with this understanding. But hopefully it can free us from the poison of anger and resentment. If someone has harmed us, what we've all, if, who here has not been harmed by someone, right? And which of us here has not harmed someone? We've all harmed, we've all done harm, and we've all been harmed. So let's make a decision. And then every day, make it again and stick by it, that we're just sick of evil. We want to be free of evil. And let's really commit to forgiving those who have harmed us. Again, that doesn't preclude taking action when it just depends on the situation. If someone's abusive, we can forgive them but still leave. But we don't need to harbor the poison of resentment and anger. Bruno Groening said, from a spiritual, I'm paraphrasing, but almost the exact words, from a spiritual point of view, there are no bad people, just people with bad habits. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. I feel renewed and fired up to continue and finish my day. Hope everyone has a good rest of their day. And just to recap a little bit, Bruno spoke about the preciousness of time. Our time here on this earth is limited. And it's so important where we put our time, energy, and attention. And this profound statement of Bruno's that time is God. And then Bruno spoke about reflecting at the end of each day how we did. And in that reflection, we can begin to catch habits and the mistakes that we repeat over and over. And then make decisions, decide to do better, because it's going to happen again. A similar situation is going to present itself. This is a school. One of my favorite spiritual quotes is, a lesson gets repeated until it is learned. And I shared some examples of, catching myself doing the same thing over and over and making a decision to do something new. And we took a look at fear and how negative thoughts try to rob us of our life, really, rob us of our joy and our peace and of our faith. And that most negative thoughts, most, if not all, they're based in untruth and things that haven't happened or won't happen. That's what fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. It seems real, but that's just because we're We've lost the habit of faith and building it back up. We took a look at the idea of what it means to trust in a spiritual helper such as Bruno Groening, and to meditate and reflect on this idea that he's always with us. And lastly, we took a look at what it means to say a human being is divine. And if a human being is divine, how is it possible that evil things happen? And hopefully a little humility that we all fall short. And that when we're behaving unwell and when someone else is behaving unwell, it's actually a kind of spiritual sickness. As Bruno said, the evil has attached to them, but not tainted that pure divinity that lives deep within us. That the hope is, not the hope, the path is to strive to be free of the evil so that that inner divinity can shine. You are so welcome, everyone. Thanks, all of you, for coming by. And let's close with a prayer. Beloved Source, Maker, God, our dear friend Bruno, please help us to catch ourselves when we're caught in habit, we're caught in fear. Help us to understand the precious gift of life and make good use of our time, and to learn what's important and what isn't. Please, for everyone who attended today and everyone who watches this video, the highest blessing. For this channel and all related activities. For everyone sharing the teachings of Bruno Groening, supporting that work. For everyone striving for the good in so many ways. Please, blessing. And please, grace and mercy for those who are temporarily don't believe in the good or aren't even striving for the good. And please, God, please, Bruno, for ourselves, freedom from all evil. Please, grace and mercy. And grace and mercy so we can then go out and help others. We can go out and serve this beautiful creation. Let's ask now for any specific circumstances in our life. For any specific people. And now for Mother Earth herself. And every living thing on it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Malin. Long time no. Welcome back. Thanks for saying hi. All right, dear ones. Very grateful. I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening. Take care. Much love.